Welcome to D2P, Lazy Watch and Lazy Read. We recap the heartfelt Korean drama MrPlankton and uncover its emotional journey through love and redemption. The drama opens with Haejo lying in the snow, clinging to life. "I'm dying. Who are you and why are you here?" He only saw a girl crying and running towards him, shouting, "You can't die. If you die, you have to die in my hands, right?" Hearing that, the boy's tears fell down. The scene shifts to show Haejo's daily life, where he runs a business that fulfills unique requests from clients. Haejo finds enjoyment in taking on these unconventional projects, and one day, a woman approaches him with an unusual demand. "I came here to give a mandate to kidnap me at my wedding," a girl said. "Who would come to ask for help and then barge in like that? But it's interesting." So Haejo decided to do this because he always did what he wanted. Jiho warns him against it, especially because her fiancé is a gang leader. On the day of the wedding, Haejo crashes the event and rescues the bride on his motorcycle. However, as they flee, Haejo is hit with a painful memory of his own abandonment by his parents, causing him to lose focus. He crashes the bike and wakes up in the hospital. In the hospital, Haejo receives shocking news. He has inherited a rare brain disease from his biological father and has only 3 months left to live. Meanwhile, Jamie, who thought she was pregnant, finds out she's experiencing early menopause, dashing her in-laws' hopes for an heir. This drives her into a desperate spiral, and a chance encounter with Haejo reveals their past relationship. Here, we discover that the two had been in a relationship for 3 years, only to break up when Jamie wanted children and Haejo did not. In a heated moment, they exchange hurtful words. Jamie curses Haejo, claiming he'll die a lonely death, while Haejo coldly retorts that she'll never be a mother. The next scenes shift into Haejo's story. His so-called parents eventually conceiving him through IVF after his father recovered from cancer. However, his world shattered at the age of 8, when his parents discovered that the clinic had made a mistake and Haejo was not actually his father's biological child. Both parents rejected him, and after enduring this for some time, Haejo eventually ran away. Haejo tells his story to the patients at the clinic, eventually threatening the doctor into giving him information about his birth father. The next day, Jamie appears cheerful as she prepares for her wedding, while Haejo decides to close his business and leave to find his biological father feeling angry about his predicament. To make things even more complicated, the gang boss doesn't believe his bride planned the escape on her own. He vows to find Haejo and make him pay for stealing his bride. Haejo ends up at Jamie's wedding, intending to convince her to leave with him. "Come with me now or I will tell your family that you can't get pregnant." Then, Hyung, entering her room and coming across Haejo. Haejo lies, claiming to be Jamie's friend from the orphanage. While Jamie tries to get Haejo out of the house before meeting with Hyung, Haejo ends up kidnapping her, and Jamie accidentally knocks her head in protest. Haejo now has 2 people chasing him, as a gangster has captured Jiho and forces him to track down Haejo's location. Meanwhile, Jamie makes several hilarious attempts to escape, but they all fail. Haejo and Jamie arrive in an empty town to change clothes, where Jamie tries to contact Young, using the shop owner's phone. Later we find that she successfully sent a voice message to Hyung with her location, and Hyung sets off to find her, without informing his family. Jamie and Haejo then eat dinner at a restaurant, where Haejo secretly plucks a strand of the owner's hair, and sends it for paternity testing, through his shady contacts. When Haejo falls asleep, Jamie tries to escape, but hears him mumbling, "Don't go," in his sleep. A flashback where Haejo dreams about an encounter with his parents, who had abandoned him. He once had an accident with his former father, and we learn that the couple had moved on, and had another child. Haejo meets his contact to conduct a paternity test. We discover that he has a list of 5 potential candidates who could be his father. Back in the room, Jamie attempts to run away, but to no avail, as Haejo arrives before she can leave. As the two remain awkward, due to Jamie's embarrassing confession, we find out that Haejo and Jamie first met on the same day he encountered his former family. Since she had been kind to him, Haejo finds her the next day, at her daycare job, and asks her out, marking the beginning of their relationship. The following day, Hyung ends up at the police station searching for Jamie, plastering the town with posters of her. Meanwhile, the gangsters are on their way to find Haejo, thanks to Jiho tracking him through his phone. Hyung, the police and the gangsters converge on the restaurant. The police arrest the gangsters, while Hyung chases Haejo in a police car. He catches up, but accidentally tases himself and passes out. Haejo also loses consciousness, due to intense pain in his head. As the police finally catch up, the next thing we see is Haejo waking up alone, with no sight of Jamie. Meanwhile, Hyung is put behind bars along with the gangsters. John, one of Hyung's mother's men, picks Hyung up from the police station, and we learn that Jamie stayed with Haejo. She begins to weep as Haejo sits beside her, and blames him for all her problems, saying she couldn't have children, even before her condition worsened. She tells him that either one of them has to die for the other to survive, and seeing her in pain, Haejo agrees to die, in exchange for Jamie staying with him until the end. She then calls Hyung, who is still at the police station, intending to tell him she lied to him, but she is cut short when Haejo arrives and takes her. Haejo convinces Jamie to wander with him for a while, searching for his biological father. Their next destination was Busan. On the way, Haejo also told more about his family. After saying that, a sudden headache appeared, forcing Haejo to run to the train toilet. When Jamie called Haejo, she discovered that the medicine had fallen out while he was struggling with the pain. "Why did you have a nosebleed yesterday? Didn't your husband hit you?" Haejo still didn't want to tell the whole truth. During this time, the two of them also went out, ate, and dated like real couples. And they reach a mountainous area, to meet the second candidate, who might be Haejo's father. The man and Jamie immediately hit it off, with Jamie disclosing her struggles. He helps cheer her up, while Haejo drops off a sample for the paternity test. The scene shifts Jamie's story, about her failed attempts to get adopted. This lack of a family made her long to become a mother, something she was first denied, when Haejo refused to have children, and then again, when she discovered her medical condition. Haejo consoling Jamie while she weeps, even though is suffering through his own painful scene due to an illness. Meanwhile, Haejo wakes up in the middle of the night, searching for his medicine. The man offers him the medicine, and takes him outside to a fish market, affectionately referring to Haejo as his son. This warms Haejo's heart. After the police release the gangsters, Go-Ho learns Haejo's location, thanks to his contacts, and his team sets off to find Haejo. Meanwhile, Haejo and Jamie discover that the man has stolen their money, and they rush to leave before the gangsters arrive. They follow clues from the man's calendar, which lead them to a gambling den at the port. When she questions whether the man is truly his father, Haejo responds with a no. He then tells Jamie to go back, as he no longer finds their wandering enjoyable. This triggers an emotional outburst from Jamie, leading Haejo to kiss her. Hyung arrives just in time to witness the kiss. The next scene shifts Hyung's backstory and how he met Jamie. Back in the present, Hyung finally reunites with Jamie and embraces her, only wanting to take her home. However, they soon hear Haejo being pursued by gangsters, and chaos ensues. John steps in to protect Hyung from the gangsters, as the three escape on a boat headed to nowhere. Later that three wake up on a deserted island without any cell service. Jamie tells Hyung the truth about her menopause. He is relieved to know she didn't leave him because of Haejo. While they're stranded, Hyung and Haejo engage in competitions, vying for Jamie's attention. Hyung finds out that Haejo is Jaemee's ex-boyfriend, and the two end up bickering while fishing, until Jaemee arrives to scold them. Later, Hyung drags Haejo along while he relieves himself in the wild, hoping to keep him away from Jaemee. This is when Haejo collapses with a seizure, and Hyung tries to help him using acupuncture needles he carries. Haejo then opens up about his illness, and in a moment of vulnerability, asks if he can call Hyung's older brother. Though Hyung refuses, there's a newfound camaraderie between them still. Haejo tries to persuade Jaemee to leave without Hyung, but she refuses. When Haejo wanders alone, he's attacked by the gang boss. Hyung and Jaemee rush to his aid. But Jaemee gets stabbed just as the police arrive in the distance. Later, Jaemee is rushed to the hospital. Hyung spends days nursing her. Meanwhile, Haejo, shocked and overcome with guilt, remains in bed, clutching Jaemee's shoe at his landlady Bong-suk's house, who is also his friend. Until Bong-suk pretends to throw away Jaemee's shoe to get him up. This is also when Haejo and Bong-suk's story is revealed. After Haejo ran away from home, he'd been scrounging for food in dumpsters, until he followed Bong-suk back to her house. She'd given him food for several days, until she put him to work at her club. Elsewhere, Jaemee wakes up and reveals the truth about her menopause to Hyung's mother, who's completely against her relationship with Hyung. Jaemee agrees to leave, but asks Hyung's mother to stop being harsh on her beloved son. She later meets Hyung, and tells him they need to end things. Later, Haejo meets with Hyung to give him Jaemee's shoe, and is relieved to find that she's okay. Hyung realizes that he truly likes Jaemee, and later quietly leaves her shoes outside and cry. The next day, Jaemee leaves his house wearing the shoes, ends up to Haejo's place, and finding him half-naked around Bong-suk. She enters, and it seems like she kisses Haejo. But soon, we realize that she's actually bitten his nose. After Jaemee calmed down, Haejo took her away. Haejo wanted her to be with Hyung because he knew that he couldn't make her happy. As Jaemee left his house, suddenly begins pouring. Haejo goes looking for Jaemee, and finds her at the errand house. She'd waited for him to find her, just like she did when they first broke up. Haejo finally caves in and kisses her. Meanwhile, Haejo sets up meet with his half-sister, who turns out to be the girl who'd put in a request to find her brother. Haejo learns that her parents are getting a divorce, and her father isn't very interested in her, but she still loves him for giving her life. She leaves Haejo with the idea that being alive is fun. Later, Jiho tracks Haejo's third biological father candidate, and it turns out to be a company owner. As Haejo goes back home, he forgets the apartment password, and waits for Bong-suk and Jaemee to return. On a mission to get Bong-suk's money back from an employee who'd stolen from her. A little while later, Haejo collapses in front of Jaemee and Bong-suk. The scene cuts to Haejo in the hospital, as Bong-suk and Jaemee finally learn about his terminal illness. Jaemee decides to fulfill his wish, find his birth father. Eventually, she succeeds in getting the sample, and sends it in for a paternity test. When Jaemee returns, she finds Jiho and Bong-suk in complete disarray, and learns that they almost lost Haejo, but the doctors thankfully brought him back. Meanwhile, Hyung drifts through the city aimlessly, as his family attempts to contact him. His mother shares with John how precious her son is to her, expressing guilt and regret for pushing him to the point of running away. Jaemee tries to take him outside. Sadly, all the taxi drivers mistake Haejo for a dead body, and no one agrees to take them. This is when Haejo regains consciousness at the bus stop. Meanwhile, Jaemee and Haejo begin their journey to visit the fourth candidate, who might be Haejo's father, after the paternity test returns negative for the third candidate. They tried to live the happiest moments of their lives together, took pictures, at night they hugged each other and watched the stars. The next morning when they arrived, Haejo rang the doorbell, but when the door opened, it turned out that this house was Jaemee's biological parents' house. He leaves her to talk to her mother. The next scene, Jaemee walking back, crying and cursing Haejo for leaving her. We learn that her mother, unable to be bold, stayed silent when faced with Jae-mi, as she had her own family. Meanwhile, Hyung's mother, with John's help, finds Ji-ho, and intends to enlist Jae-mi's help in finding Hyung. Bong-suk also arrives searching for her son. Elsewhere, Haejo opens up to Hyung about how his misfortune began when Haejo asked his father for a sibling. His father visited a clinic and learned the truth, that Haejo was not son. Haejo advises Hyung to never set a destination, suggesting that by doing so, he'll never be lost, but simply a drifter, as Hyung confides about feeling aimless. Hyung's mother uses her phone to text Hyung with Jae-mi's location. Eventually, Haejo and Hyung arrive. Hyung's mother lets him go, telling him to have fun and come home whenever he wants. This motivates Haejo to finish the journey he started. He leaves everyone to visit his father. They share a heartfelt hug, revealing that his father had never truly abandoned him and had always loved him. Haejo finds his childhood photos intact, along with his graduation certificate. While there, Jae-mi comes to pick him up and they leave on a journey together. Haejo's estranged father, who is not his biological father, finds "I'm your son" written on his business card, which brings tears to his eyes after Haejo has left. The final destination is the snowy mountain, the place that Haejo always wanted to go. Both of them happily played like children. And then the two of them competed to see who could find the four-leaf clover. Later, Haejo collapses in the snow. "I want to live. I want to live longer, I want to hug you, I want to love you more and longer." Haejo saw not the blue sky but Jae-mi. "I love you because you gave me a life worth living, interesting and complete."
I'm lost in shadows, a fading dream, a shattered hope, a broken scheme. If you could see me lost and alone, a prisoner of memories overthrown, a heart still searching, a soul
Thanks for watching
unknown.
D2P, Lazy Watch and Lazy Read. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Got a film or book you want us to cover? Drop it in the comments below. Stay lazy, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye!
For now.